How's it going, everyone? It's Aubrey from What's Up. That was the day. It's December 22nd, 2020. And in this video, we'll primarily be focusing on the nationwide snowstorm that's going to affect the entire U.S. going into this Christmas week. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video. And make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see more weather-related content from me. So let's again first look at the Gfs model, and you see that it's taking a fairly strong 988 millibar pressure storm throughout the northern United States. And you see that there's a pretty big snow band extending from Canada, and then it extends downward as the backside of this storm really begins to extend going into the 30-hour mark. And we're only about a day from this happening, guys. As of right now, we're already seeing the snow in the Cascade Mountains and the Rocky Mountain ranges. So expect a pretty decent chunk of snow in that area because this low pressure system coming off the coast of the Northwest Pacific is packing a lot of moisture with it, and it's quite strong for a low pressure system coming off the Northwest Pacific. It is, like I said, it isn't the most strong storm in the world. However, it's decently potent enough to bring up to a foot of snow in the higher elevations of the Cascade Mountains and the Rocky Mountain ranges. So I would watch out if you're in the higher elevations in those areas. And it could be a good skiing weekend for you guys, or skiing week for you guys. So that might be good news for some of you guys. But headed forward, you see that snow begins to extend. The storm continues to move more towards the east, and we begin to see, and it's as a result of this a very strong jet stream bringing that low pressure towards the east at this point. And we're also seeing a little bit of a steering flow from this ridge that's bringing a lot of southeast winds to it, and it's contributing to this storm moving to the east. And you see, as I've been stating in my previous videos, the GFS is leaning towards bringing a much bigger dip in the jet stream with much colder air behind it than the European has. And what this means is that we're more likely to see a stronger storm because of the GFS's model, the GFS's forecast, which is forecasting a little bit more of a stronger storm headed into the eastern half of the U.S. And then you see that it begins to strengthen into a 985 millibar storm, and you see just an extensive band of snow, and you see the darker shades of blue in Minnesota. To compare this to yesterday's run, the snow was a lot less expansive in the northern Midwest states. However, today it's a lot more expansive. We're seeing that snow extend throughout the northern Dakotas and as well as Minnesota, and it seems like it's gonna be a more significant snowfall event than we initially thought, especially in the more southern portions of Minnesota and South Dakota, which is now more likely to get involved in the snow, because in the previous runs the snow was mainly affecting the North Dakota and the northern Minnesota. However, this snow band is expected to move further south, and there's expected to be more snow in the north as a result of this more expansive snow swath it's going to impact the northern U.S. And this storm is expected to be stronger. There's going to be a bigger jet stream dip, allowing for more unstable air to enter the United States, which will lead to convection and a lot of air rising aloft, and that's going to create a lot of convection for this storm to work with, and a lot of precipitation surrounding the low pressure, the mid-latitude cyclone that we're going to see. And you see that what's interesting is that for the most part, despite the storm being relatively strong, there isn't a ton of convection just south of it extending along the cold front, and it's probably as a result of very dry atmosphere, which is limiting the potential precipitation in the south. And I also think it's as a result of just it's a little bit too far to be directly connected to the warm Gulf Stream water that would otherwise create that thunderstorm activity and that convection. Because you see, going into the 12-hour mark, there's just going to be a lot of dry air on the south side. So a lot of the southern states, like the Midwest southern states, should miss out on thunderstorm activity and rain activity as a result of this persistent dry air. It's not until I would say near the 2 day mark we begin to see more convection seep through, as eventually that cold Arctic air will filter into the south and interact with the Gulf Stream water, which will create some precipitation. However, it's gonna take a while, and we won't begin to see that really heavy precipitation till um, probably till 2 days from now, by the time the low pressure is just north of the border. And why I bring this up is because it really changes the potential snowfall forecast for a lot of the United States, because since this band forms later than expected and what's typical, that means that there's going to be you're less likely to see any sort of precipitation in the eastern half of the Midwest, and more likely to see precipitation on the East Coast. And that's going to be interesting because it'll because it'll determine who exactly gets a snowfall from this. And you see, it's gonna, like I said in my previous videos, it's gonna be one of those situations where rare situations where the precipitation will be behind the cold front, which will allow for a pretty hefty band of snow to move through the Midwest and the Ohio River Valley. And you see a new low pressure forms as a result of this big jet stream dip, just causing a ton of convection in the atmosphere and just causing a lot of converging air right around the cold front, and that's creating a lot of rising air and just a strong storm with a heavy band of snow extending as far south as Tennessee and North Carolina. So there could be a pretty significant snow event. I wouldn't say you're going to experience a foot of snow from this as of right now. However, those snowfall rates will drop down fast. So even if you won't get a ton of snowfall in West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, and a lot of these states, it's gonna snow. It's gonna snow at a very fast pace. Like, let's say it's expected to snow 6 inches in your area. It's gonna snow. The snow is gonna accumulate to 6 inches very fast, and that could be a worry when it comes to travel, because sometimes people underestimate a snowstorm just because the snowfall accumulation is lower. However, you can't do that because there's certain times like this scenario where the snowfall will accumulate at a very fast pace, and it's expected to and that could cause treacherous driving conditions, even though it will only happen for a limited amount of time. So watch out along I would say, the Appalachian Mountain Range, where you could experience the most snowfall from this snowstorm. And then this extends even to western and middle Pennsylvania, where Pittsburgh is now getting in the snow. And who knows, maybe a little bit of Washington, D.C. could get a little bit of a white Christmas going into Christmas Day, as well as some of the I-95 corridor cities like New York City, Philadelphia. So at this point, it seems unlikely that that we're gonna see accumulating snow in the I-95 cities like New York City and Philadelphia, mainly because by the time the low pressure reaches the northeast, there's just going to be just enough dry air to filter in on the backside of this cold front to limit the amount of snowfall, and it'll pretty much just, there won't be that much precipitation behind the cold front that would change that rain over to snow, because there's going to be a point in time where the air will be so cold and it'll be so dense to the point where it can't really hold that much water vapor, and as a result it's going to be a much more limited snowstorm in those cities. And we might see some snow falling out of the sky, but in terms of accumulation, it seems less likely than not. However, we're still 3 days out, so it could change, especially if we do expect a little bit more precipitation on the backside of this cold front, and the humidity does changes over the next several days, the computer models need to account for that. And but however, it seems less likely it's gonna happen, mainly just because it's rare already for precipitation to happen behind cold fronts to a point where you'll receive snow. And to do it in New York City or Philadelphia, it's just gonna be very, very difficult. However, in the interior Northeast, you should prepare for a major Northeast snowstorm because both the computer models are agreeing with it. The European, which is taking now a pretty strong mid-latitude cyclone on 994 millibars, and a big cold there's a big jet stream dip behind it, so there's plentiful cold air for this to happen, and all it really needs is just precipitation behind that cold front to create a significant weather event, and it seems like both the computer models are agreeing with that at that point. So in the interior Northeast, I would prepare for a heavy snowfall threat and even extending to the northern Midwest states as well. So let's take a look at my snowfall forecast for December 22nd going into Christmas week, where you could experience a white Christmas, especially more likely in the Northeast. You see that I marked this area out between Wisconsin and Minnesota and Illinois because just ignore it because I meant to take out this portion, so I just like labeled it in green to match the map. So don't expect any snowfall in these areas because it doesn't seem like there's going to be enough precipitation alongside the cold front to have any snow. However, going further east, you could see 6 up to a foot of snow in the interior Northeast regions, and then 3 to 6 inches just to the southeast of that. Extending to Michigan, you could see 3 to 6, and then 1 to 3 just south of that. And then you could see up to a foot in Minnesota and portions of North Dakota. So watch out for that, and up to a foot in the higher elevations of the Cascades. So these are definitely subject to change. We're still a couple days out, and even one day out, where we could see some changes that could make major effects to the snowfall accumulation forecast. However, at this point, I would say it should be right around the ballpark of what to expect. There could be changes. Like I said, you could completely miss out on that. It's still a possibility. Well, I won't say completely miss out, but you could experience less or maybe even much more snowfall anticipated because the margin of error when it comes to weather, even one day out, is still relatively big. But for the most part, you should at least expect snow and pretty much major snow throughout the Northeast, northern Midwest states, and the Rocky Mountain ranges because we're only 1 to 3 days out from this happening, and the computer models, when they're within that time frame of forecasting, it becomes there's a lot more certainty when it comes to forecasting. It's more likely than not they're correct at that point when it comes to snowfall forecast. So I would definitely prepare in the interior Northeast, the upper Midwest states, and the Rocky Mountains states because big snowfall is headed your way, and it's already impacting some of you guys in the Northwest Pacific as of right now. We see that snow band, and then moving forward, you see it affects more of the Rocky Mountain regions. And then if we move even forward to Tuesday night, you see that band of snow extends further south to where it affects North Dakota, parts of South Dakota are involved, and then you see a big band of snow forming as a result of increased convection a little bit, and then Minneapolis could get involved, and then you see that extending line of rain doesn't form really until late Wednesday going into early Thursday, where we begin to see a thunderstorm band form in the southeast, which could be severe. So keep that in mind if you're in the southeast, because severe thunderstorms are definitely not something you want to play with. And then you see that big broad area of precipitation forming, and it's completely formed by Thursday morning, and we begin to see the first bouts of snow on the backside of it. And a lot of this rain is expected to change over the snow going into Friday, going into Christmas Day. So keep that in mind all along the East Coast. And like I said, I would expect the most major impacts to be in the interior Northeast and northern Midwest states and Rocky Mountain ranges at this point. And I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you like this video, and I hope you guys have a good day. Make sure to keep watching my videos. I really appreciate all the love you guys give me, and I hope you guys have a good day or good night or good morning whenever you're watching this.